All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about a parasite that feels like it's straight out of a sci-fi horror movie, but I assure you, it is terrifyingly real. We're unpacking the incredible and, yes, deeply unsettling life of Dermatobia hominis, the human botfly.
Seriously, think about it for a second. We've all been there. You buy a tacky t-shirt or a snow globe that breaks in your suitcase, but what if the worst souvenir you could possibly bring home wasn't an object at all? What if it was alive and burrowed just underneath your skin?
So picture this. A traveler is just getting back home from an amazing trip to the lush, beautiful forests of Central or South America. A few weeks go by, and they notice something. A little mark, looks like a bug bite that just won't heal. But instead of getting better, it starts to swell into this painful, boil-like lesion. This is usually chapter 1 of a very up-close and personal encounter with the human botfly. Now, what makes this thing so different from a regular boil are the very specific symptoms. There's a tiny little opening right in the center called a punctum, and sometimes a bit of fluid will leak out. That, believe it or not, is the larva's breathing hole. The pain isn't just a dull ache. It's often described as sharp, stabbing, and it gets worse as the intruder gets bigger. But the real telltale sign, the one that makes your skin crawl just thinking about it, is the sensation. It's one thing to have pain, but it's the psychological part that's just unnerving. Imagine that feeling of something moving right under your skin. People describe it as crawling or drilling, and it's this very specific, horrifying sensation that often clues doctors in that this isn't some simple bacterial infection. So what in the world is this intruder? Well, the cause of this lesion, which is technically called furuncular myasitis, is the larva of the fly Dermatobia hominis. Yeah, we're not talking about a bacteria or a virus here. This is a full-on parasitic infestation by an insect. The correct medical term for this is myasitis, and really that's just a broad term for any time a living animal gets infested with the larvae of a two-winged fly. Lots of flies can cause myasitis, but Dermatobia hominis, well, it has a delivery method that is uniquely sinister and, you have to admit, incredibly clever.
Let's just break down the name for a second. Dermatobia hominis is basically Greek and Latin for skin life of a human. But don't let that name fool you. While it's famous for infecting us, it's actually a generalist. It's been found in over 200 different species of mammals and birds, everything from cattle to monkeys.
And here's a really crucial point. This is a metazoan. That means it's a complex, multicellular animal. This isn't a single-celled protozoan like the parasites that cause malaria or leishmaniasis. No, we're talking about an actual insect with different life stages, and understanding that is key to understanding how this whole nightmare works. You can see right here where it fits in the big tree of life. It's an animal, an arthropod, an insect, all the way down to the family Oestridae, the botflies. And the big thing to know about this family is that all their larvae are what we call obligate parasites. That's a fancy way of saying they absolutely cannot survive unless they're living inside a host. Okay, this is where the story goes from creepy to absolutely mind-blowing. How does a relatively large fly that can't even bite you get its baby under your skin? Well, it doesn't do it itself. It hijacks another insect. It basically calls a cab. This process is it's pure evolutionary genius. The female botfly literally catches a mosquito in midair. She doesn't harm it. She just very carefully glues her eggs onto its belly and then lets it go. Now, when that unsuspecting mosquito lands on you for a meal, your body heat is the trigger. The eggs hatch almost instantly, and these tiny little larvae crawl out and drop onto your skin, often using the mosquito's own bite wound as a front door. It is the perfect stealth delivery system. So once the larva is in, it's found the perfect home. It's warm, it's safe, and there's an all-you-can-eat buffet of nutrients. And for the next several weeks, its only job is to eat and to grow. This larva is going to be your unwanted tenant for anywhere from 5 to 12 weeks. It grows through 3 different stages called instars, and as it feeds on your tissue fluids, it gets bigger, and it develops these rows of backward-facing spines that anchor it in place. That's what makes it so hard for it to be removed by accident. As it matures, the pain and that creepy sensation of movement get more and more intense. And then, once it's fully grown, it just backs out of the hole it's been living in and drops to the ground to pupate in the soil.
So how do doctors actually deal with this, especially in a place like the Netherlands, where this isn't a local problem? Every case of Dermatobia hominis, there is an imported one, a souvenir from a traveler. Recognizing the signs is everything. Usually, the final diagnosis happens after the eviction. They can identify the larva just by looking at its physical features. Its unique shape, those spines we talked about, the structure of its breathing pores, it's like an insect fingerprint. In more complicated cases, or for research, they can even run a PCR test on its DNA to get a 100% positive identity. The treatment is pretty much the same everywhere, and it's fascinatingly low-tech. The most common method is called occlusion. You basically suffocate it. Doctors will cover that little breathing hole with something thick like petroleum jelly. This cuts off its oxygen, and the larva has no choice but to start wiggling its way out to get some air. Once its back end pops out, it can be gently grabbed with forceps and pulled the rest of the way. You have to be super careful not to crush it, though, because that can cause a massive inflammatory reaction and a nasty secondary infection.
Of course, the absolute best treatment is just not getting one in the first place. And since the botfly is native to the tropical and semi-tropical parts of the Americas, we're talking from Mexico all the way down to northern Argentina, if you're traveling there, you need to know how to protect yourself.
So how do you stop a parasite that uses a mosquito as a taxi service? You stop the taxi. It's really all about preventing mosquito bites. That means using a good insect repellent, wearing long sleeves and pants to cover your skin, and sleeping under mosquito nets if you're in an area where that's a risk. If you understand the delivery system, you know exactly how to avoid becoming a host.
Now, all of the information we've covered in this explainer was compiled using a Gemini deep search. If you want to dive even deeper into the clinical reports and the science behind this, you can find a complete list of our sources in the linked Notebook LM document. And that's our look at the incredible life of the human botfly. It's a masterful and, yes, terrifying example of adaptation in the natural world. It really makes you wonder what other bizarre strategies are playing out just out of our sight. So what do you think is the most ingenious part of its life cycle? Let us know down in the comments, and of course, don't forget to subscribe for more explainers that uncover the unseen.